So I was going to make a video on this the day this happened. But if you've been paying attention to the news, Kazakhstan has now been destabilized, and they're having a revolution. Were they killing? They killed like everyone in the government, and the government quit. Kind of sounds like Portland, Oregon, doesn't it? And maybe some other places too. I guess maybe you have to go to a place like Portland to understand exactly what happened there. But you can just look at the media and see it's Kazakhstan. Now, how did I know? How have I been saying for 6 to 8 years that Kazakhstan is next to be destabilized? Well, it's easy because Hollywood introduced propaganda with Borat to attack Kazakhstan, and you're not allowed attacking other races and nations unless it's on the chopping block ready to be dealt with. And so once you see that enough, you understand, they're not attacking black Africans right now. Um, they're not necessarily attacking South Africans. They're not attacking Antarcticans. They're not attacking Canadians. But everyone else they're attacking, they got hate speech for Mexicans. They got hate speech for Venezuela. They have hate speech for Asians in China and for North Korea. And they have hate speech for Russians. And they have hate speech, well, not really for Europeans. They're kind of lucky. No one talks about them. And then there's, of course, hate speech for the Arabs. And so those places are all also I pointed out on a map before why each of these places is so important. And so that's what I'm going to do here as well. Besides, I've been talking about this for how many years now? And it probably sounded stupid and pointless to anyone who paid attention to anything, because it's just like, why are you even mentioning this place? Well, now if you look this up, these people have destroyed their government. Someone led their people to destroy their government, and I'm not saying that's wrong. Go ahead, everyone should probably, have a discussion with their government and see if they can't retire. Uh, but this is exactly how it works. So you have Kazakhstan, and where is Kazakhstan? Kazakhstan is right there above Afghanistan. It's actually part of Asia, a Central Asian country. So right off, we've been. I don't remember a day our nation, the nation I'm originally from. I think it's like the whole world at this point. I don't remember a day we didn't have hate propaganda against Asian people. It's always like low key, like they're really scared to. They can't just call them monkeys or towel heads or something like that, because I think they're scared of them. Like I don't think they actually think they're those things I just said. They're worried that they're a little more skillful than wild animals, and so they don't think they can just march in there and start killing everyone. So the propaganda is like way low key. For 30 years of my life, all anyone knew about Asians is they eat cats, and that is one of the world's worst sins, apparently, is eating cats. So it was very important to always understand they eat cats. And then in the last 10 years, they stopped eating cats, apparently, and now they eat bats. So that's like the new world's worst thing, is to eat bats. And so now, like, they've spread this coronavirus too. It's all their fault. And they've destroyed our economy. They must have came over to USA and they told USA people to act stupid and don't do anything and don't advance their technology and their knowledge. And so while USA sit around and did nothing and didn't invent their own modern technology, other nations got the leg up. So they're evil for that, because they must have came over here and told it, because they control Hollywood, right? That's what the Alex Jones says the Asians control Hollywood. China. Weinstein is Chinese. Howard Stern is Chinese. Mark Zuckerberg is Chinese. I mean, technically, he did just marry into China, didn't he? And the owners of Google, they must be Chinese because, like Alex Jones and everyone else says, the Chinese took over. So, I mean, it's important. That's obviously part of the more propaganda too. Is they've taken over our nation. The Chinese control everything. You know, the Chinese don't even. I would say they control people's brains, but they don't. If they controlled the brains, they wouldn't talk about themselves. If the Chinese own the media, you got to realize, like, whoever in the media is telling you this group owns the media or that group, like, whoever owns things, it doesn't attack themselves generally. Like, I'll do that stuff, and it's like, it's kind of like a rare attitude I have. But other people, like other groups, organizations trying to take over things, gangs, cults, terrorist units, militaries, they don't, you know, run propaganda against themselves. Like the military, USA military doesn't be like, be all that you can be, quit the army because we're terrorists, right? They're not going to make that. So, and when they tell you, when the media tells you Asians control the media, obviously that's not China because everyone thinks China's liars and can never tell the truth. So, if they own the media, why would they say they own the media? They wouldn't, right? Okay, so Kazakhstan is located here. It's a choke point, just like every single place that we destroy and occupy and are involved in wars with. They're all choke points. And these places are places that have been choke points for thousands of years. So the most important ones we talk about are choke points that people have killed each other to try to take over for thousands of years. Okay, so and it's kind of good that I was banned. I magically got again another big thing popped off, and I just happened to get banned right then. So I can just come out and brag and be like, ah ha ha, look, I told you guys this was happening like 8 years ago. How come it just started happening? And how did I know that, right? And so good thing because I started like right away. I was like, oh, I know where that's located, and then it's located near Ukraine. And so it used to be a different place. Part of it used to be a place called Khazaria, which is like Palestine. There's people who want to take over that land because they claim it's their ancestral homeland. But you got to realize at this point, like they're saying all these lands are their homelands. They're pretty much every land they're in. And these are choke. This is definitely a choke point. You can see you have the Black Sea. You have the other sea over here. And that's the land bridge from the Byzantine Empire back then, or today from Afghanistan in the Middle East, up into Europe, Russia, Asia. So we all know all these people are at war with one another, and they've always been at war with one another. And not just all these people down here too. So all four of these groups of people, and this fifth one here in the middle, apparently have been at war with each other for thousands of years. And so that's why Khazaria, or Kazakhstan as it's known today, Ukraine is important because Ukraine is a buffer state. And it's like the American media will tell you that. Like, that's why Russia wants to take over Ukraine. Well, technically, Ukraine might actually have been part of Russia at one point. But they tell you it's because it's a buffer state and they want the that land can be destroyed by an invading military, and then Russia can set their defenses up inside the Russian borders, and it's a buffer. Pretty much like the cannon fodder. Like all these choke points are cannon fodder. Venezuela's cannon fodder, Mexico's cannon fodder, Ukraine's cannon fodder, Kazakhstan's cannon fodder. South Korea obviously has been cannon fodder. I assume Japan is cannon fodder. Vietnam is cannon fodder. I assume South Africa is just written off as cannon fodder. And there's been a lot of talk of things that happened in the Spanish Empire over time. So maybe Spain has been written off a lot of times. And then Germany, in between the European area and these invading these other groups, Germany supposedly has been a nomadic tribe most of their existence, and they used to have to run around and be treated as cannon fodder when they were barbarians and stuff. And then the Middle East, obviously, like the world, if there's any place in the world anyone knows about, there's like the war for the motherland, Israel, Palestine, whatever you want to call it. Egypt is around that area too, and we've all heard of that nation before. And then obviously there's the Iraq War, and those are like centralized at the heart of it all, at the heart of all these continents. That's why those get more attention than anything. That's why people care about that. They care so much. It's special. It's a good place. It's important to remember and all this stuff. It's literally just like the world's largest chokehold. So, choke point when it comes to war. So, when they do that stuff, all these places that they talk about here are battle zones. Every single location is surrounding the borders of nations that they spread propaganda against, and you know the other nations probably are spreading propaganda against those nations as well. Although China remains silent a lot of times, it's like that's their MO, is to like not talk about what they do. And anyways, this is the way it is for several reasons. And obviously Central Asian nation, but at the same time, it is 72% Islam in 2020. So there we have. We have all those facts lining up, which I've already looked at that before, and that's why for the last 6 years or so I've been saying that they're going to destabilize Khazaria soon, or Kazakhstan soon, because first of all, it's at choke point. Second of all, they've been talking about it, like low key, subvertly. That's how they do it. And then they were in the Ukraine area, which is right there as well. And then it's the choke point, and it's the Muslims. So you combine all that together, and it makes perfect sense that is coming up next. And so it has. Now it's been destabilized, maybe more than any other nation. That was pretty fast, how they started killing off their police and their politicians, and then their president like ran away and stuff like that. That was like really fast. It took a couple days for them to do it. So they've been setting that up for a long time, and they knew they had that all laid out and ready to go. Probably better than any destabilization attempt that they've ever ran that I know of. Although the actual invention of Khazaria was like pretty interesting. They just went there and they started crucifying all the women and killing everyone off as fast as they could. So that was probably like a really fast destabilization as well. Although the word destabilization doesn't mean we've come out in the open and started killing off everyone who are the citizens. Destabilization means we're destroying their governments, and then the people will eat each other once their governments are destroyed. So that's what destabilization means. But anyways, so that's the video, and just wanted to put that out there that it happened just like I said it would for 6 years. And these are things I see. You know, like I seen this 6 years ago, maybe even before that. And I said that back then. I said, this place is next. And now here we are 6 years later, all of a sudden out of nowhere, it's destabilized. There's no talk of it, nothing. Just, that's it. It's gone because they were low-key pushing that propaganda.